Okay, now Ea was the creator, as we established last week. Through his blood, all things was created. Okay. When the earth world was half water, half solid, and in the water there's a spirit and cannot live in the water, and he came out and created another dome which is called the sky. In Lakota they call it Taku Shkanshkan, the source of movement. And so when Ea created Manka, it was solid with half water, and the creation begins. A lot of things happen because of Manka always nag, always needs something or wanted something. And of course, as in a story, Ea, when created Manka, he had to open himself in order for Ea to create, and he did. He became brittle, and he was scattered all over. But the continuation of that Ea power is still here through the Inipi. Okay, the radiation from the rocks is still within us. It purifies, and it helped us as our journey in this Unchi Manka. And Manka said that, she needs to see herself. And so Amp was created. It's a reddish color that don't give up heat. It was comfortable, and she could see herself. And the story that tells us that the reddish glow that around Unchi Manka, Ikto, when Ikto came and gambled with Amp, and then almost lose most of that reddish color. The only time you can see him is early in the morning, at dawn, or in the when the sun goes down. Usually Grandpa came in and said, "Ian kaka ualo." So we look down, it's a really reddish color, The Creator is coming. And that's what he always used. Ian kaka means, making of rocks or volcano. And so Manka wanted to probably perfect herself. Of course, she's made in the image of female, so she wants to be, looking more beautiful than ever. And so one day he said he need some heat, and so Ska is now in charge. Now, so he created we, the sun, okay? And now that Manka sees herself and said, she looks ugly, okay? So the creation of all things were created in her, trees, everything that was needed. And this creation began, all creation helped in molding Manka as she is today. And so now the three creation has been established, okay, in a way of creating Manka and the universe and the sun. And the only thing the sun can do is give heat and energy. And that was his job. And so I'm sure we is continue to do that, give us energy and light, warmth. And today we always complaining that the ozone is opening up, and we found that we, or the sun, is the one that is doing that. But actually we are the ones that are, depleting the surface and the air between that ozone. And we're always complaining, but the creation is that the sun is doing as he was told. We have word for ozone, so we know that these are important to the Lakota people. Layers of atmosphere, we know the names of those. Okay, the ozone is, we call it zanzala, machpiana makhayoko wana zanzalawa. Between the earth and the atmosphere, there's a thin layer, and we have plants that could address that. I might imagine it probably happened time and time again when the creation was created. And so we have a word and we have a plant that could, help. If it's used, it will help complete that ozone that we have. And I seen that plant and I couldn't find it after that, so. Well, even today, if we found it, it won't be potent because we have a lot of pesticide and everything that is thrown in the places where this plant grow. I know every tribe probably have that, and simultaneously they would burn this plant and help the ozone, so to speak. And so now we have 4 creation, except the Ha and Ump. They were just there in the beginning. Of course, they always tell that Iya oiha ke wanichelo naish dukteni eka taokishni. It's always there. It's always a circle, and it's it have no end, no beginning, and no end, as Lakota people believe. So as time goes along, things need to be changed. There need to be a change, and so even the spirits began to change, okay? And so they all began to create something that they choose. So Ian chose Wakian. Okay? Manka create they call it. Shka created Tate. And we created we, okay? Opposite of him. You notice when Lakota people give a Wichinchala or a girl or female, they always put we, because of, they felt that the female is created after the moon, okay? The virtues of the moon. The man would have a name, and the same Lakota name could be given to the young girl, but they have to add W-I-N, okay? I have a Lakota name, so if I give it to one of my girls, and I have to add W-I-N to show that the name is a female name, okay? My name is Snaya Wakua, so if I give that name to a female, my daughter, she will be named Snaya Wakua Wi, okay, because of that. There are things that are happening that, okay, so after everything created, of course, Makai is female, so she got jealous of the beauty of Unk, okay? And so she was outcast into the waters, okay? And then she become Unkje Ri, okay? Probably the dinosaurs, or she become a dinosaur, okay? And so now Unk is out of the way. And now Monka don't have any companion. So Wakia is the one that that would cleanse the world. And there's a lot of things that are going on, but we'll go to that later. And they said if you see Wakia, you will become Heyoka. Because Wakia is such that if you see it, your mind will somehow did something to the mind of the person that who dream of Wakia. And then they become different, frozen or whatever, trauma. I don't know what Wakia looks like, but the way they talk about it, it was really horrible, terrible, whatever, terrifying experience for that person. And so they become Heyoka, contraries, They don't know if they're doing it right or wrong. It's just that, that's how they would react. Sometimes they walk backwards or say things differently, and they have to have an interpreter because, they say things backward. Today, if like Cortez this morning, Hihani was there, they would probably say, Hihani lila shichala, or opposite. And a person have to say, he's saying it's a good morning, okay, it's a good day. And so they really do need an interpreter to be with them. Or things they do makes people laugh, and they have their own ceremonies, just like regular people. And the only time they could be okay, according to the population, is that when they fulfill their dream. It might be something that they dream of and they're afraid. And when the thunder comes, they'll know when the thunder will be coming, even days before. And they tried everything to they try everything so that they won't be bothered by the thunder beings, but they find them. Lightning usually strike them and to fulfill that dream. Okay, so it's a hard life for Heyoka, and Heyoka friend is the dog, so usually things that was created, those things are hinging from that. Heyoka, we have Heyoka. And then we have the dog in there as well. They're their friends. I might be able trying to help them, but I don't know. But it's there, so Wakia is sort of an important part of people's life by having a dream and you became a Heyoka, and the laughter that they get from that Heyoka, and also, so I think laughter is very important to the Lakota people. It makes them laugh. They don't mean to, but they do. Okay, they always. Sometimes when they fall off a moving object, you usually fall backwards, but they usually fall frontwards. I heard stories about how they were and how they deal. They have their own little sort of magic or some little sacred things, but it's just that we as regular people couldn't understand that because it's always opposite of things that they do. So it's really hard to gauge how powerful they are. I know they are powerful in their own way, and sometimes help the regular people in some dangerous situation. And so they do have power. They do have their own ceremonies. Inipi, the covering won't be as it is today, covering so no steam come out, but theirs would be a lot of holes in it and probably 3 or 4 rocks and only a few sticks to burn it, and it's warm and it's hot, to them. That's how the sacred or whatever it is come in, and they perform their own, have ceremony called kettle dancing, or taking a dog put their hands in there and came up with the head. So they're not burned, you know. And so they have that power. One thing that usually tell that we as Lakota people always eat dog, you know, and they call us that, dog eaters, but the only time they do that is in a ceremony. There's a story that some Indians were caught up in a drought, and of course they're on foot, so their hunting is limited probably to 4 or 5 miles, let alone trying to go 10 miles. And so they were caught up in it, and there's no food, but they really honor their dogs because they are the ones that carry their belongings, you know, in a travois, and a dog or the burden of beast at that time. And they really treat their dog real good. You know, they even have dog house and everything, and were treated for, they boil the best part, take the best part of the food and feed them because they were treated nice. They're never abused. And so they have dogs that were pretty good size, little puppies, and that they protect as well for their traveling. Anyway, the story is that they were caught in a drought, one of the terrible drought, all 4 months of, you know, sunshine. They got no place. They were caught in it, and they were down to their last meal. In a way, you know, the soles of the soles of their moccasins. Every day they make moccasin because they do a lot of travel, so, you know, moccasin will probably last a couple of days. Anyway, they save new ones that sole the thick part of the animal, and they dry that. Anyway, they began to boil that. This is their last meal. And so they were doing that, and it was towards the evening, and all of a sudden a dog and a little puppy, 2 dogs and a little puppy came to the chief, and they spoke. Somehow they understand each other and say, "We know your dilemma, and we want to get back to the main camp too." And so we talked about it, and this little puppy decided to sacrifice so that you can get back to the main camp. And so they said, what is it that this little dog sacrificed itself? And said, he sacrificed itself. One thing you must do is paint that from the tip of his nose to the tip of his tail in red ochre. Do that. And then instead of killing him to death, use something to choke him, but face the dog towards the west before you do that, to honor him in that way. And then you can singe the hair off and cut it and eat it in a ceremonial way, and you will have enough strength to get back to the camp. They're reluctant, but knowing that they need to get back. So they did. They faced to paint the little dog red from the tip of his nose to the tail, and facing the dog west, and then choke it with a little rope, and then they boiled it as they were told, and they made it back. So it was a sacrificial and ceremonial meal for the Lakota people. The only time they do that is when they're sick and go to a ceremony, or Thanksgiving from something happened, especially in health, and they go to a ceremony, and then they do that to honor this little dog nation, and giving thanks for their dilemma when they were caught and were hungry and were sick and everything. They made it alive to the main camp. So they use that in a ceremony for Thanksgiving, especially if a person's real sick and was healed, and in Thanksgiving They remember the dog nation that establishes that, give thanks for healing. So not all the time Lakota people eat dog, It's a for ceremony. But I don't know how it caught on, and sometimes you go to a city and they would say, hey, there's a dog-eating person, And we went through that. But we know that it's a ceremony. It helped us. The dog nation helped us when we were in need and to survive as a people. And so that's what they usually do. So they were hinging with the Heyoka, So we generally don't eat dog every day, but for good health, we give thanks for attributed to the dog nation. Okay. And so those are the things that hinges from Ian, the way she created. Manka created Unkje, but looks beautiful, so she was cast out, and now she became a negative spirit, trying to get back at Unkje Manka for what she did to her, cast her out. And so she became negative, and she promised to get back at Manka. Whatever grows or whatever it is will be there. If they drink the water that I'm in control of, something will happen. And they're children of human, two-legged. They will have face like a fish or ears like a seashell, and they will be deformed. Okay. And so that's why we have all kinds of stuff, Lakota, salamanders and turtle to protect our children, especially those are the one that she will get to. And so it's still here, and they say today we drink the water of Unkjeri, and our kids are now FAS, FAC, whatever you call that. And the water is made with alcohol. And water is alcohol, and so from there, we have a lot of problems, handicaps, and a lot of brain and things that are happening. And because we don't know that, she's doing a pretty good job in our lifetime. That's why we usually have a name given, or we name our children before they were born, and usually give a salamander or a turtle a symbolic that would help in that situation. So in time, after a while, it was such that, Tronkashila and Montreux give us twins, so that they will fool the Unkjeri and his people. Okay, so the twins would be, we don't know which one is the one that she will take the spirit, and so they help their other families in that way, because they're powerful when both came. So in that sense, we have ways of defending our children, okay, in the beginning. And of course, they always tell us that twins come from a bear butte, You very seldom see a bear with twins, one cub, and that's where they come from. And usually when they leave this world, they go back to the place to bring another one with them. So sort of Unkjeri would know which one is the real person that would stay here. And after a while, they go back. So we have ways of dealing with the natural, supernatural thing. And we have a lot of ceremonies to take care of our children in the beginning. Sometimes they say today the spirit of this young child are taken away. And forgot. Hunk, not hunk. Now it become Unk. And after a while it become Unkjerila, term of endearment. Okay. And after that she began to have children, offsprings of her own. You know, we have one that called Iya. Later turned out to be Ibum. I don't know where that word come from. Or Tokahe. Firstborn. Okay? The firstborn in this world. And then we have Ganesh. They call him Ganesh, and we still use that word, Ganesh. Ganeshkina, something that a person acts not normal, but all of a sudden he get into a rage and throwing stuff or going all over, and then mental disturbed person. That's what Ganesh is. And so when a person act like that today, we always say, hey Ganeshkina, Ganesh Ela, because of that. And things that are happening, the spirits do, you know, if somebody did that, it already happened, okay? The important thing is Unk and Iya, they come together and create Iya, okay? Then Iya went and have a relationship with his mother, and they have Ganesh, okay, incest. Okay, so that was there a long time ago. In the beginning, the emotions and things that have happened have already been done. And so from the blood of Iya, all these were created. So a lot of these we have that. It's that we need to control it. It's that we need to have a balance, the good and the bad, you know, to keep us insane, so to speak, okay? So these are the negative spirits that, you know, are always there, even today. And there are some spirits that are in a wooded area, so if you go off out of the sanctuary of your circle, your Tioshpaya, then you do need to do something to, if you're taking your children, you need something to do to have their spirit intact. They usually call their Lakota name about 4 times when they're coming back, not loudly, but softly enough that, you know, you will feel it when the spirit of that child comes back with you. And sometimes they're told not to take their children, young ones especially, into a crowded area, because you won't even know what's there. You may shake hands with a spirit that you don't know, and so that's why they're always tell them not to carry. Like in powwow, you cannot carry them into the circle of that, because they're there. A lot of the spirits like celebration powwow, so they usually are there. So unless a Lakota name was given to that baby, then he or she will be protected with that feather. Usually the plume is on the left side toward the heart, you know. Left is the heart. That women always have that, boys on the right side, because that's their strength, the right side. Okay, so these are the things that we've always been told. When here, some nights I hear this creation story by my grandpa. I know it's a long story, and sometime I fell asleep between, almost finished, or halfway, you know. And sometime I wish I would stay up to hear all of the details of our creation story. But what I know and remember, that's why I'm putting out on the board. This, like I said, this is oral lecture, but we have books. You can read the book, but some of the things I'm saying, it will not be in there. Okay. How come this is not in a book? Because that's how we were taught. We have to read to believe. You know, if it's written, Yeah, that's, even though it may not be right, but we believe that. Okay, so we have things that address the area of this negative spirit. We'll get into that when we go into the book of Black, probably week 9 or something in that area. Okay, so these are the creations that Ea made, and Manka made Unkje, but doesn't work out. She was jealous of the beauty, and so we know that jealousy is there in the beginning, and we have those. And Tate is a messenger, is a wind. When the spirits need to gather, Tate would go and have it prepared, okay? And so these are the first creation when the world began to took shape. And like I said, all creation was involved in creating all this trees, grass, animals, everything. Even this negative spirit are involved. So when they create something without legs or scales or, but they're created in this world, so they survived, You have all kinds of animals that don't look regular or normal to us, and they're the ones that are in charge. Even the grass, some of them are poisonous. Or the pejuta, the medicine, sometimes they created almost look like a medicine, but they're not. If you take one of those, you'll be sick. And so you have to know the plant. And that's where the medicine men come in. They know the plant, they know which plant to mix with which other medicinal herb, so you cannot just go take 2 medicines and mix them yourself. You have to have the knowledge of that. So it's powerful. Just like for my diabetic, I had a medicine man give me one who's from the north, and I'm feeling better, Before I usually stagger around and couldn't see, but my vision is back to 20/20, I think. I could drive now. Anyway, so these are the things that are happening during the time of the creation of Ea. Ea blood. The blood was blue, they said. Ea's blood was blue. In creation, everything is blue in this world. If you see a grass, something, if you look closely, you will see a tint of blue in it. Or rocks, or the waters, the sky, or anything. There's a little bit of blue in it. Snow have blue, yellow, and green in it. And so blue is the thing that usually Lakota people have in their beaded outfit or anything that they created, usually a blue in it, okay? And so Tate is the one that really giving us air and helped in the creation of the 4 directions, and we have order installed. Before it was chaos, the wind would go all over and things were not as it was. But after Tate was created, the order began. Order exists. We now have the 4 cardinal corners of the world, east, west, north or south. These are established, so they have powerful job that they have, okay? Another creation, Xa, was created, and she also had created one called Xa Pela. Xa Pela. Little wisdom, and wisdom and that was created. And after a while, he was created out of an egg, an awkward looking person, as they say, la wo khake. Okay, nujela. And so, after a while of being ridiculed, he become Iktomi. But that's later in the story, and we'll become to that. They called wisdom. And so Tate went and created one and called it Woopche. And some they spell it differently, but some stories are almost same, and some say Woopche or Woopche. Woopche today we call that law. Okay. The wind, the sun, the moon, the sun, the atmosphere, the sky, earth, the creator. Okay, or Trunkashila. Since Ian is a creator, so we call him not father but Trunkashila. Trunkashila means birth, respect, and his term of endearment. Okay, that's why we call it Trunkashila. The first person, first human. Trunkashila. Trunk means birth. Ga is old or ancient. She is term of respect. La is term of endearment. Okay, and that's what makes it Trunkashila. That's why we have a word for auntie is Trui, birth. Birth, sort of a midwife. Anyway, so these are the terms of the words that we as Lakota people have to identify things that are important to us. Okay, just one word would mean a lot of things. And so these were the creation of other, except Makha. He's a person that female that's hard to get along with. You know, she's always demanding. Until today, how it is how how much she wanted for the existence of Makha. And we're part of that, you know, we're part of that creation. And we're also part of this more dominant, because, you know, things happened a long time ago that a decision has to be made who's going to be in charge, the two-legged or four-legged. And the decision was established by having a race around the Black Hills, and how the magpie won the race for the two-legged, and we're now more dominant, and the others, you know, they sacrificed themselves for our existence, you know, whereas two-legged. We'll get into that later on. So Makha have nothing now. So she wanted Woopche to be her companion, and it was they let her have Woopche, but conditions were placed upon Makha so that she wouldn't be very aggressive or mean to Woopche. I guess Woopche was a beautiful creation. I have a lot of attributes to her, in terms of direction or giving directives. And so that's why where the law comes in. He's the one that gives order in a comfortable way, and so things could be solved, or resolved, whichever one do we need to use. And so Woopre now is existed with the spirit, and after a while Woopre got together and began to really establish relation. They put some kind of a structure so that when the four creation have a meeting, these two were there to make sure the things would be in order. Okay, they probably put him in a wrong seats or whatever, and they finally come up with the idea of food. Okay. And so they have now prepared that food for them, okay? And also Ksab created the language, so now communication was there, So they probably would communicate with each other through telepathy or whatever you call that. I couldn't say it. Anyway, mind to mind, but now they have language which they use, and it becomes more orderly, okay? So just like premonition, we know what's going to happen before it happened, but somehow we know that. Probably the wave of whatever that is there, and we receive that. Especially women, they know when something's going to happen, or where their parent children are, or they understand that, somehow they do. So it comes from them, the language. Before, then Woopre would probably be the one to give us that energy to foresee the future or know what's going to happen just by feeling it, okay?